Hi and welcome to the second part in looking at the differences between Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft, and in a slight departure to the normal schedule I had planned. Today I'm going to look at the online store, simply because changes in games nowadays mean that microtransactions are becoming increasingly common and increasingly talked about. Long gone are the days when we would just buy a game and then that was it, we had the game, just play it. Then came along subscriptions with online gaming. Now we've got subscriptions potentially, buying the game, and a series of microtransactions after it. Now, I tend to categorize them three ways. There are power upgrades that you can get with these microtransactions. These are the most controversial. These are the ones that directly increase the power of your character, either through gear that gives you bonuses to your character's power, or by just directly adding stats or some other effect on your character that is not obtainable by people who do not get these microtransactions. The second would be utility ones. These are the ones that might help you circumvent some part of the game. They don't directly give your character power, but they'll sort of help you get ahead in the game, potentially. And the third one are the cosmetic ones. These are the ones that don't affect your gameplay one iota. They are there purely for the aesthetic. No one has a major problem with these sorts of microtransactions. So in World of Warcraft, there are virtually no options on the online store. This maybe shouldn't come as a surprise, because the subscription, rather than being an optional thing, is essential. You must have a subscription for which you've either paid real life money or for which you've paid in-game gold and bought a token from someone who has paid real life money, and in actual fact more real life money than the subscription costs. So the shop itself has pets. Now, in theory, you'd just say these are cosmetic. The majority of people that buy these, I'm sure, are buying it for cosmetic purposes. It's almost sneaking into the utility section, however, because there is a pet battle system within the game, a game within the game. So some of these, I'm not a pet battler myself. Some of these may have pretty desirable traits. It also obviously saves you going out to farm these yourself, although you still have to level them up. Now, whether you could argue any of these would give you any even indirect benefits, obviously they don't increase the power of your character. Getting pet battles doesn't directly lead to anything that will increase the power of your character either. The best that can be hoped is that you can use these to level up other pets and sell them as level 25 rares and make some gold from which you can buy BOEs off the auction house, but that's taking a very tenuous link to it there, so they're largely cosmetic. Then we have mounts, of course. These are purely cosmetic because you can get any mount. These don't have any special abilities or anything like that. They are entirely cosmetic. The other thing you'll notice here is that you have prices in your local currency. You don't buy any online store currency first and then use that currency to get these. It's just this costs this amount. Can be better in that you're only paying what you're intended to pay for it. Potential downside when I look at this is sometimes you look at the price of some of these pets. So look at these pets here, around about £9 in my currency, and we look at the mounts, about £19 in my currency. Compared with the price of many of the pets and mounts in Elder Scrolls Online, it's more expensive in WoW. Other items you can get from here, of course, it advertises the services. So that's faction change, race change, appearance change, all these sort of things. Some of which are in Elder Scrolls Online, some of which don't make sense, like, for example, a realm change or something like that. And then the WoW token, of course, which at the moment, look at this, 290,000 nearly. And this is something, of course, if you want to use real life money to get in-game gold, this is a great way to do it. With some other games, maybe on the online store, you can buy something that can be traded, and therefore you can trade it to someone for in-game gold. This is just directly the Blizzard, the game company, saying, do you know what, if you want to buy gold, this is a way of stamping out gold sellers, and it's a way of saying to players, you can buy gold all perfectly legitimately, pay your £17 in my case here, and get yourself over $250,000 in-game gold for it by putting it on the auction house, and then someone with that in-game gold can purchase it, and then that pays for their subscription. So they can farm lots to get the in-game gold for their subscription, or someone with real life, an excess of real life money, can use it to get the in-game gold. There are other things as well. There are some cosmetic helms, a very small selection of them, which oddly enough are not on the in-game store, but can be accessed via the web store, but it doesn't have very much more to it than that. With Elder Scrolls Online, on the other hand, there is no compulsory subscription model. Now, I have a subscription, but there is a free-to-play model that goes with it. As a result, there are two major differences with the online store. The first of which is that you don't pay for the items with a set fee in your local currency. You buy a special currency for use on the online store. These are crowns. Now, these are not, well, they can be beneficial in some ways and not beneficial in others. The ways in which they can be beneficial is when you have a game that doesn't insist on the subscription model, but you have the subscription model anyway, what you tend to get, and it's no different in this game, you get so many of these currency crowns in this case, every time that you pay for your next set of subscription. Now, that makes it quite handy for just purchasing these items and purchasing them quickly without having to go through an automated payment system. The downside is that it can lead to a couple of problems. First of all, you have to buy a set amount of crowns. You can't just choose whatever you want. There are packages. The other thing, of course, with these packages is the more crowns you buy in one go, the cheaper it is in terms of cost per crowns. So the idea is it's getting you to say, oh, well, it's better value if you get more of them. And some of these you can end up spending a massive amount of money. The other side of it is, let's say you just wanted an item off the online store and let's say it costs 5,000 crowns. But you can't just buy 5,000 crowns. You could buy 5,500, in which case you've still got 500 spare and you didn't really want it and you're not going to use it in the future. So, yeah, it's not ideal from that point of view as well. The second difference is that there is a massive amount of things to get on the online store. Of course, there will be people who are playing this free-to-play, and even those with subscriptions, they want to maximize profits. So there's a huge amount of stuff. And what's interesting here is they bring out things that are not only exclusive to the online store, but also available for a limited time only. So if we look in the featured section, for example, we could look at this mount, okay, which I don't have, I'm not particularly bothered about. But it's one thing if you bring out an exclusive, someone might look at it and go, no, I'm not that bothered about it, so I'll sort of leave it. But then if you notice here on the clock, oh, I can only buy this for the next 20 odd minutes. And they mean it as well. In half an hour I come back, this mount is not available anymore. They do this quite regularly. There's always some time limited mount or pet available at any one time. And if you don't get it there and then, you're not getting it. And that puts that time pressure on someone to go, oh, yeah, I don't really, it looks quite good. Maybe I should just get it because I might change my mind in a month's time when it's too late that I actually want it. So again, it puts you sort of pressure on to get that as well, which again is not ideal. However, what can be said in this game is that there are no power upgrades here. There's no equipment you can buy on here. There's no stats, like in some games on their online store, you just buy raw stats to put onto your character to make it more powerful. There's none of that. They're overwhelmingly cosmetic. There are some utility ones. In fact, there's a section here that's labelled as utility. So, for example, if we look at here, you could get experience scrolls. Now, this obviously is going to be really useful for leveling. You can buy these with crowns and use them on your character so that you level much more quickly. That is utility rather than purely cosmetic, of course, because it's saving you time. And you could also argue that if you've got a certain amount of time to play the game, and let's say you've got two people, one person doesn't get anything off the online store, one person does, the person who does will, at the end of a week, be more powerful because they'll have done the same content, but they'll have leveled up further. So that's why I put it in the utility category there. In that it's not a direct character boost, but you know the end result is that your character is going to become more powerful because you're more efficient using the time. There's respecs. You can get respecs for in-game currency as well, but again here it's basically essentially it's a lot of in-game currency. So for a casual player, it would be a lot of gold that you'd need, but for here you could go, okay, well, it's just so many crowns. And again, it comes back to the idea of buying bundles of crowns. My main gripe with this is, unless you're working it out, you don't really know how much it is. It's easy to imagine someone buying a bundle of crowns and then looking at this and go, oh, it's only 700, that's all right. without actually thinking what 700 is in their local currency. How much are they actually paying for this? And then other supplies as well. So you can get potions, you can get buff foods, poisons to apply for your weapons, repair kits, these sorts of things as well. Now, most of the other stuff on here, as I say, is just purely cosmetic. So we have, for example, furniture. There's homes, player housing in this game. So you can get furniture in-game, you can craft it in-game, but you can also get, and again, often this is exclusive on the online store, you can get various things to customize your character, adornments, emotes, hairstyles, markings, different personalities, just like emotes again, skins. You could, of course, get costumes. So the one I'm wearing here, for example, is from the online store. You can get various other ones as well. Again, some of them are only on for a limited amount of time, or at the price for a limited amount of time. So, for example, you can preview what you'd sort of look in them. You can also get some hats. So the usual things. Dyes, you can dye your equipment. That this armor that I'm wearing here, this transmog, as you'd call it, is not the original colours of it. I use dyes on it, and some dyes you get just as with your subscription. Some dyes you can get in the game, and some dyes you can get from the online store as well. Some of which are tied to seasonal things. So, for example, this one, there's only a few days left on it because it's seasonal there. Mounts, of course, you get different categories here, what they'd call exotic. So again, there's two here that are time limited, but then we look at some other ones. These will be here whenever you need them. They're not always time limited. And the same ones here. As well as, of course, non-combat pets. And these are purely cosmetic in this game. There's no pet battle system in the game. So if you want a little kitty there, then you can get that. That's not going to add anything to it. It's not essential for you as well. Now, one other thing that you can get on here, which is not, again, something I am in favour of, I've been talking about this recently, is crown crates. So, for example, you could get yourself, if we look here, you could buy yourself some crown crates, which is a sort of gambling system here. So you can buy crates there and then open up and get a selection of rewards. It works very much like physical cards, only, as I say, in digital form. And also you can see some of the rewards you could get from them. Now, you'll notice here, it's sort of suggesting that items that are in these crates, let's say there's a rare item you really want, but you don't get it. It is giving you the option to directly purchase it, but it uses these crystals, which again you get from the loot crate. So it's like if you open up so many loot crates, then you get some of these rewards, these crystals. And if you're not getting the item you really want, well, it's not like saying to you, no, you're going to have to keep buying the loot crates until you do. It is tempered by the fact, well, you could just use these crystals that are accumulating. And you can break down certain things as these crystals to get what you actually want. Hi, so I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share for further content. Check out the other videos on my channel. Check out my other platforms as well. If you want to be notified of when I'm going to be streaming or upcoming videos or little comments, then follow me on Twitter. Also check me out on Patreon if you feel that you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks very much, and I'll see you later.